Am I audible? Am I audible? Can somebody please respond if I'm audible or not? So, hello everybody and good evening. I am Kaushani Sarkar. I am a mental health enthusiast working in ANUBHAV Psychology CLINIC. Today, the topic of discussion is education, a tool of awakening. So, firstly, I want to thank Shopnapuran Welfare Society for having me here and giving me an opportunity to voice my opinions regarding this topic. They are doing an incredible job at not just providing daily necessities but also education to local youth, children, and women. They help them in living a dignified life, and this is something that should be applauded. And if people ask me why they are, is there some sort of a problem? Because I hope I'm audible. Yes. So if you ask me why they are stressing on providing education to the youth and the women, well, we all know empowerment is related to education. If we want empowerment, we need education. Education is necessary for social change, right? And we are the agents of change. Education helps us in decision making. It helps us in critical thinking so that we can seek nothing but the truth always. So, yes, like it's an amazing thing they are doing. But right now, I want to talk about how the current scenario of education has affected children, young adults in the pandemic era. So let's talk about what education was in the pre-COVID situation, what education is right now. In the pre-COVID situation, the thought of classes in college or school or any institution for that matter meant getting up early or late sometimes, getting dressed as quickly as possible, or maybe sometimes being a bit lazy, running, entering the class, huffing and puffing for breath, fighting for a seat beside your best friend or maybe your favorite person. We grew up while fighting for the seat in the front row to the seat at the back. And while doing that, we all have made amazing memories. I know a lot of students, I have met a lot of students who would come to our clinic every day and they would say that there have been situations, there have been moments that we have thought that, oh, I'm having a very bad day today. I wish I could have just stayed back home, just tucked in my bed so that I don't get punished today for something I've done, for not bringing the homework, for talking or anything. And now they come up to me and now they tell me that, ma'am, I would give that thought up in a heartbeat. I would want to go back to my classroom, sit at the last bench, talk to my friend while the class is going on, get punished for breaking a law or just being naughty, even get my parents called or suspended. I know, sounds crazy. But that's exactly what the children are going through right now. They're sitting back at home. For them, let's talk about children of ages 6 to 7. Let's start from that. The concept of school for them is just sitting in front of a laptop or maybe a tab or a phone and listening to teachers. I mean, let's be honest here, even college students can't understand or can't make out things that the teachers are saying, and they are kids. They miss that human connection. They are sitting in front of the laptop, listening or not listening. It really does not matter to them. They sometimes feel lonely. Their parents are not always there to provide them time, and they feel lonely without their friends. They don't like this. They sometimes do things they sometimes do things which is really unexpected of them, and by some things I mean fighting with their parents or sometimes shouting at them, beating them. The growing aggression in them is alarming. Now let's talk about teenagers. There's a yeah, yeah, okay. So the children, the teenagers, what they are facing right now is the fact that for them, for a lot of them, school used to be an escape from home. A lot of them were facing something toxic at home, maybe verbal or physical abuse, and school used to be a place for them where they could just come and escape from that torturous situation at home, where they didn't have to worry about when the next hit is going to come or when the next blow of words are going to come, which are going to make me self doubt myself, feel anxious about whatever I'm doing, feel worthless. But with the schools being closed, they are feeling all of it. They are feeling that wave back. They are sitting at home. They are not interested. They don't have the motivation to continue with any classes. They sit back at home with their parents or with people around them who are constantly questioning them their worth, about what they should and should not do, questioning them about what they would do in future, and that's making them anxious. That's leading them to overthink on a lot of things that they wouldn't have thought if they would have been at school. And school is not just a place where you would just go and sit to study or listen to your teacher. It used to be the place for making relationships. School taught us how to bond with strangers and make them our friends. It taught us how to deal with our seniors, how to deal with complex situations, how to talk to our professors, our teachers. And not just that, it used to teach us a lot of extracurricular activities, right? PT, basketball, cricket, swimming, tennis, and a lot of things. The children right now are missing out on all of those. Now, the thing is, we'll, we'll also stress upon the kind of things that young adults are having to face when they're going to college. Now, a lot of colleges don't have the infrastructure to hold regular online classes or uninterrupted exams. So, there have been situations where a lot of students have reported that we are not getting regular notes or we are not getting regular help from teachers. We are having to talk to people, search the net, and go another extra mile, and we don't even know if the source is authentic or not. We are having our own anxiety. We are relying a lot on teachers, but because the medium again is online, a lot of them are not being able to reach to us. Something understanding certain chapters or certain modules or certain presentations would have been much better if it would have been done in person. Also, the fact that, when they are hosting, like a lot of state universities are hosting exams, and a lot of students have reported that their answer scripts have been misplaced or they have been wrongly marked, etc. So the reason for telling all these things is because all of these, everything, is just making them anxious, frustrated. It has taken a toll on the students. It has increased their anxiety to another level. We can still sometimes go out. We are feeling that if we keep the students at home, if we keep the children at home, then definitely we are protecting them. Yes, you are protecting them from the virus, but about their mental health and well being, maybe not. So they are feeling lonely, frustrated, worthless, helpless. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to proceed. A lot of people are missing out on going to their respective campus, enjoying the campus life, and everything. Sometimes we keep telling people that how can I help him, right? How can I help him or how can I help her? Because I don't have a mental health degree. You don't need to have a mental health degree. You need to just sit with them and listen to them rant about things in general, which might seem meaningful or might not seem meaningful to you. That's how you have to understand from where they are coming. They are not being able to place their frustration in the right way. They are sitting back at home, they don't have any activities to do, they are becoming anxious, and that's taking a toll on their mental health. So, this session right here, I want it to be a fun, interactive session where I can talk to the viewers and I can also give two opinions. I would like to know their opinions as well. So, can we have some questions or some opinions from our viewers, please? Do we have any questions? Okay. So now we are going to talk about education and how it empowers us in general, right? Why the need? How can students keep themselves motivated through it all, right? So students keep how can students keep themselves motivated through it all? Right. This is a very nice question. How can students keep themselves motivated? So I know it sounds very easy to say from the other side of the table, but it's actually very difficult for students because they barely don't have anything to do at home other than just staring at their phones and laptops and watching Netflix or, you know, just chatting with people online. So what we can do, the first thing, is assigning some activities to them. Studies at home, like, because right now studying for them is becoming very boring. We can, okay, some we can also help them study in a very playful way. For example, we can also engage in some indoor games. For example, let's say the entire family sits down to play Ludo, right? So we all know that for playing Ludo, we need the dice. So instead of the dice, we can ask them questions regarding their chapters, their curriculum, or whatever. We can tell them that if you answer this question, you get to start. So it's a bit of a motivation for them to sit down and study because they feel like if I sit down and study and if I answer the question correctly, I get to start it. It's competitiveness as well. So I think it will also help them in, just coming back to the original flow that they had before everything happened in the COVID situation. We can do that. Apart from that, I think we can also tell them to explain things. We can also tell them to explain things like role play. Usually, people or kids, they like explaining things. So, what we can do is we can all ask them to explain what they have read, and that might also help them to come back to studying. Any more questions do we have here? I guess. Another thing, online classes for pre-primary children is really challenging. How can we make it interesting? So online classes for pre-primary children is really challenging. Yes, it is. So I think a lot of people, while conducting online classes, they just do the same thing. They just They just conduct it the way they would do in person. Like they would probably just sit with their copies or their books in hand and they would read and they would just explain it. So that is not going to work while you are conducting a session online. What might be done is making an interactive thing, some activity based questions, you know, like if we are starting off with some chapter, before that we can, ask them their take, or we can ask them to talk about some experience regarding it, or we can start with a fun chat with them, like make it a very interactive thing. So if they get interested, they would listen to their teachers. If they feel like they are accepted, they are in it, they would definitely, interact more. And then there are high chances of them being actually present in the class. Good idea, but a bit tough for college students. I'm sorry, which idea are we talking about? Is it the present idea? Because it's for the pre-primary children. But if we are talking about the motivational strategies, well, I think it's not a bit tough for college students. We can also try, because it, like the indoor games thing, it also strengthens family bonds. So I think we can all give it a try. Instead of just discarding it, we can all give it a try once and see where it goes. Do we have any questions? Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Do we have any more questions? What should be the screen time children? So you see, for children, they usually don't have a long attention span. It tends to shift from one topic to another. So what we can do is we can keep it short. We can keep the screen time for children. Okay, I'll just be sure before answering it. The preferred screen time, is it for online classes or in general? Can we please have another question? Like, are we talking about the screen time for online classes or in general? Okay, mention both. Right. Okay, fine. So, so the thing is, for online classes, like I was saying, children usually have very less attention span, right? And studying needs focused attention. A lot of us might think that, um, when they watch TV or when they watch some movie, they can sit through the entire movie and they can enjoy it. But while studying, the attention just seems to shift from one topic to another. They don't sit, they just get up and move around. So here's the thing, studying needs focused attention, right? And focused attention is actually difficult. So for children, it becomes even more difficult when we are actually, just restricting them to a laptop screen or a tab. So for them, I think a maximum of 20 to 25 minutes should be enough per class. And there should be a break in between the classes. Like a lot of students go through, like continuous classes, and sometimes they are bored and frustrated. They just turn off the mic, they turn off their video, and they probably do other things. So it makes no sense. So what can be done is giving a gap in between the classes, not all of the classes, conducting instead of 4 to 5 classes in a row, we can conduct 2 classes, and that would be beneficial for them. And in general, for primary classes, well, right now, if I'm talking about the pandemic era, it's really difficult to actually, just restrict their screen time, because right now all they are exposed to is screen, internet. So it's really difficult to say, but definitely I think for them, not more than 2 hours a day, because they might develop a habit towards it, which can be difficult to, decrease later on. Okay. So are there any more questions? How does one tackle a child who is completely reluctant to follow instructions? As a working parent, it's not always possible to monitor the child throughout. Very good question. I love this question. So, first, we have to understand what the child is going through. Like in the beginning of the session, I had already mentioned that right now the pandemic is taking a toll on adolescents and children more than it's taking on adults. And even if it is, we know ways of, regulating it, and maybe just controlling our rage or our temper and everything. Kids, on the other hand, they don't know. They are feeling frustrated, they are feeling lonely, they don't know where to go. There's a constant fear around them that's making them feel anxious and nervous. They don't know, they are seeing the elders becoming very afraid about the current scenario, talking about vaccine all the time, and a lot of them can't really understand what the situation is right now. A lot of them think and perceive it as something which is extremely, fearful. They have to always wear their masks, and it's really irritating for even us, let's be real. So I think what can be done is just sitting with them and talking to them why, what they are feeling, how their day was, like an entire day. Whenever, I know it's difficult for a working parent, after the entire day you would want to relax, you would want a time for yourself, you would probably want to just sit back and, watch something, a movie, some series, while sipping tea or anything. At that point of time, if your child over there is just being reluctant to follow instructions, it infuriates us. I get it. But we have to remember that we can actually understand our feelings while they can't. So we have to sit with them. We have to ask them how their day was. It can be for a lot of reasons. Maybe she's lonely and she's seeing that, you know, you are going out, or, you know, both her parents are going out and she's not, she's having to stay back at home. She has no friends. She can't go down to play. She has to wear a mask. She can't go to school. She's missing school. That can be a lot of reasons. Maybe she had a bad day, a fight with a friend, or maybe just feeling under the weather. Maybe she's afraid. So you just need to sit and ask her first how her day was. Communicate with her. Then you'll understand why and what she's going through. And then you can figure out how to place it. You know, always, you know, what works with children usually is if you keep your instructions in a suggestive tone. Like, I feel if you clean your room, it would look prettier. Or I feel if you brush your hair, it would be good. We can do that. So yeah. So what I would suggest is communication. Sit with them, talk to them, because even like we adults do, even kids need to communicate with their parents and everybody around. I hope I have answered it a bit. Okay. Any more questions? Do we have any more questions? I really appreciate this idea. Yes, also suggestive instruction is good idea. We should try that. Thank you. Yes, thank you, ma'am. Because, you know, we have to understand what we would also like. Like, imagine coming into a room and somebody just telling us, do this, do that. You're not doing this. You know, your room is a mess. Why are you doing that? I don't like it. How would we feel? We wouldn't like that, right? But just imagine if somebody would just come and sit beside us, ask us, how was your day? Did you get into a fight? Why is your mood off? If somebody just sits and asks us that, won't we feel important? Won't we feel validated? Maybe we have had a bad day, but after that, if somebody just sits back, won't we feel it doesn't matter if the person is giving us a solution or not, but the fact that the person is just taking out time to sit with us and listen to us is in itself a huge thing. And we would love that. And so would the kids, because we can put a name to our feelings, but the kids can't. And they are suffering a lot in this pandemic era. So I really hope this proves to be helpful, like, you know, suggestive discussion with them. If you just make them feel like you're taking their opinion, they would actually follow the instructions in a better way. Can you suggest some creative ways of using some creative ways? Okay, I'm not exactly understanding the question. Creative ways of learning. So I think I've had a similar question before. I think somebody just asked me that how can we make it creative during online classes, right? So again, I would say that what the kids are actually facing is the fact that they feel they are left out. They are not included in the discussion. They don't like it because they are not present in the class. They don't know they don't feel the connection. So I think a creative way would be, you know, making it, instead of going through the book and the notes and everything, what we can always do is, have an interactive session with them, ask them their opinions on a particular topic. Like, for example, let's say if we are conducting an online class with a student of class 11 who's, say the class is about political science or maybe economics. So we can, the topic that the teacher is going to teach, she can pick that up, he or she can pick that up and, ask the students their take on that particular topic. I bet they would be really interested to talk about it, and they would feel really included and important and validated, and that would actually help them to come back to the flow. I'm sorry if the answer was not up to the mark. Actually, I'm having a bit difficulty in understanding the question. Can you suggest? I think it's quite similar to the question that we have had earlier. Different ways of using online platforms for learning. Other than that, I think right now also I wouldn't say that when we are talking about, it seems like I'm only picking out the cons of online learning, but it's not that, because right now, because students are exposed to Google and different online platforms. When they are facing some sort of a problem, they are just going online, typing it on Google, and they're just getting to know the remedies or the meaning of the terms, or maybe they are just really getting good materials online. Like, you get good PDF and good books and everything online. They are available. So that's a great thing. So yeah, internet online learning is not all bad, I guess. So this can be a way. Do we have any more questions? Do we have any more questions here from the viewers? You mentioned definitely. See, yes, it is true that online learning is isolating the students from the world, human connection, and everything. But I'll be very honest over here. Like I said previously, like, online learning, when you're learning something online, and by that I don't necessarily mean the Zoom classes or the Google Meet classes, I mean online as a whole, in general. When we are not understanding anything, we have Google at our fingertips. We don't necessarily need somebody to go and approach and ask them anything. So we can, and as I said, that we get exceptional materials, like study materials online, PDFs, books, anything online. So now, like, a year ago maybe it would have been difficult to find the source of certain, you know good document or certain papers. But right now it's available and students can take it. Like, sometimes students would probably not get a certain book or maybe some certain notes. But right now, with online, with the online medium, students can definitely get all of these in their fingertips. And most importantly, free free learning is what, like, for buying books you don't necessarily need to spend 500 or 300, whatever is the amount. You don't necessarily need to spend on that. You can just simply Google it, get the PDF or the books, download it, and study it. So it's easy. And I think the fact that students are exposed to books and research papers from all around the world. They are not just restricted to their papers that have been presented by their teachers or their seniors, or have been presented in their university or their respective institutions. They can get an access to papers from all around the globe. So that's really expanding their knowledge. They can learn a lot of things. They can debate with what has been taught in their university in comparison to what is being taught in other universities in the country or outside the country. So I think that's definitely these are the advantages. And also we have to really understand that if we are thinking of online education as the future medium, then a lot of thinking has to be done in the process. And for that, the availability of internet needs to be there. We all know that internet is not accessible by everybody, especially when we are talking about people who are coming from you know um, from remote areas, or people from the lower socioeconomic background. For them, um, internet is just not accessible, it's also cost effective. It's not cost effective, right? So what we can spend 400 rupees for a month's internet, but for them it's an issue. They can't spend 400 on internet for just a month. So that needs to be thought about as well. Yeah. Any more questions? Do we have any more questions from anybody? Not at the moment. Okay. So I guess, right. So I guess I have been able to answer the questions that have been asked. I'm really, really grateful to every single person who has come forward and asked their questions, and also they have given their opinions on certain matters. Thank you so much for joining me, even after having a very hectic schedule. Thank you so much. So I'm going to end the session right now. Have an amazing evening. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm sorry. I think that was for exam. Uh, I'm sorry, ma'am. Are we talking about exams? For exams, any suggestions, or for examinees, any suggestions? examinees, right? So for examinees, right now we can, the best thing to do is give them some relaxation techniques. Assign some relaxation techniques to them, give them some activities to do, because with the current scenario, with exams getting cancelled, they are having, like, they have their own anxiety, and that is doubled with the kind of scenario that is going on. I totally understand that desperate situations require desperate measures, but at the same time, they are kids and they have their entire future shaped up in front of them. They have planned something in their head, and nothing according to that plan is going on. So they are feeling helpless and nervous, and they don't know what to do. So we can help them channelize all of that frustration, their anxiety, towards something productive. We can identify something that they are good at or something that they want to do, and just help them indulge in those activities. Give them relaxation techniques. And also, right now, they are most likely to have, you know some lack in their self confidence, or their, you know self esteem. So what we can do is assign some, just assertive statements for them to say out loud every morning. Like, just get up and say that I am strong, this is a phase, and this will pass, and I'll be able to conquer the world like I've always done. Things like these, statements like these, we can, help them build their self confidence, their self esteem, and everything. And definitely relaxation techniques help, and also certain, meditation. We can ask them to meditate. Is, I know it sounds cliche, but it is one of the most effective ways of reducing anxiety and stress. We can ask them at least to take some time from their day, just sit in the middle of the room, close their eyes, inhale, and just focus on their surroundings, focus on whatever is happening inside, and how they are feeling. If we help them identify their feelings, we can help them sort them out as well. So yeah, for them, that can be a help. So I guess this is it. Extremely thankful to Shopnu Puran for having me here. It's a great honor to speak for you. Thank you so much. I'm going to end the session